I don't know what the right term is, but do you feel like you're connecting more with former community college students, or are you connecting with just basically everybody on campus?
On campus, like already walking in, people have, not that it's clicky, but people have had their friends since dorming in like their first year. And I've noticed a lot of people, like their friend groups, they've known each other since the first year that they were here. And obviously I don't have like that same like advantage. But so far I'm mostly talking to and like mostly connecting with like transfer students. A lot of transfer students are in my classes because many of us aren't technically declared in our majors yet. So we're pre like our major. And like we just have to take these classes that like people that went to UCLA already like knew. So I'm mostly talking to them. But I also do think during next quarter, like the spring quarter, there's going to be a lot more happening and like a lot more like social events where you could meet people. So yeah.
So I have been thinking that I wanted to do an episode about looking for an internship. And the reason why I find it so interesting in the context of the transfer student arc is that, like, if we think about the transfer experience, we're literally moving into a new environment our junior year. And it's kind of a shock to the system to get used to a new campus, new classes, new social structure. And then in the context of trying to get comfortable with our new environment, we're also like thrown into the recruiting mix. And so if I back up just a second, the most important thing when looking for a full-time job after you graduate are like stacking internships. And the most important internship, I think, in my opinion, is the internship that you have before your senior year. And the search for that really starts, sometime your fall semester or the fall quarter of your junior year. So like, it's just a really interesting time. And I thought it would be really cool to talk to a student or a set of students that are sort of going through that process. And I have a student. It is a former student of mine. She is awesome. Her name is Sasha Gret, and she currently goes to UCLA. So welcome to the show, Sasha.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. I was listening to what you're saying about the internships stuff, but like there's actually no time. Like we're all like on a fast track of everything.
Okay, so jumping back into like, good thing that we didn't really get started. So I think what we were doing was we were transitioning the conversation over to you to introduce yourself and to just sort of share your experience. Before we even get into the internship stuff, I would love to know what like the first 2 weeks were like at UCLA. Like, was it what you expected? Was it totally different? Like, how were the first 2 weeks for you?
The first 2 weeks were honestly very crazy. Because I was supposed to move into my apartment, first of all, like the week that school was supposed to start, but they held it off for a week, so I could only move in a week after school started. So me and a couple of my roommates had to get an Airbnb, and like even just driving to UCLA from the Airbnb, it's like 40-minute drive. Everything in LA is so far apart. But regardless of that, like honestly, I was shocked at how many people there were here, because it's like, yes, it's a big number when you hear it, but when you actually see everybody and like they're working hard, like, because UCLA is a rigorous school. It's super rigorous. Like there's these party schools out here, and it's a very different like environment compared to that. And I feel like during the first couple of weeks, there was a lot of excitement for everybody because it was back to school for the people that had come back from their summer break that were attending UCLA. A bunch of transfer students were coming in. So there was a lot going on and a lot of places to meet people there. And yeah, I feel like it was a good start to my school, but it was also hard in the academics because it's just so fast paced.
Yeah. And how has that been going? Like, outside of just the transition to a new environment, like how do you feel the inside the classroom is compared to community college for you?
The classrooms are huge. Like, they're so big. There's 300 people in one class, so you don't get that one-to-one, like, time or, like, ability to talk to your professor, and, like, after class, you can go talk to them, but there's a long line of people wanting to, like, go up and introduce themselves, like, ask questions, so there's not as much, like, connect with the professors and, like, student, but, and, like, you can ask questions, but it's, like, such a big, like, hall that sometimes your question is not answered, and like the TAs are mostly the people that you're going to be talking to, so it's like you can't really grow like rapport with like your professor or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you feel like you're prepared for that environment? Like, do you feel like your time at community college was like prepared you for the academic experience that you're going through at UCLA?
I feel like to some degree yes, to some degree no. Definitely my workload in community college was way less, like, and as well as like just the work in general itself, because in community college it was the semester system and now I'm on the quarter system. So it's like 10 weeks of like constant grinding. Like this quarter I have 3 midterms and then 1 final, which like in the span of it's like a test every other week, basically. So it's just like
Yeah.
there's really no stopping. But I feel like my classes in community college were a bit more, like, I would say easier. Like, I would say that because I could have extra help and I knew where to go. Like, I took math classes, I could go to the math tutoring session, like, center in San Mateo College. But here, it's like different. It's like, it's a little bit more
Yeah.
harder to get like resources.
Yeah, I remember it being a pain in the ass for me. Like, it was so different. I felt like I was the strongest student in all of my classes at community college. And then when I transferred, I felt like I was literally, in fact, I didn't even feel like I was the dumbest person in all of my classes. And I felt like I was working harder, and like, I just felt like it took way more energy for me to get to the same place that all the other students around me were
Mhm.
getting to. So like, I found that adjustment to be pretty shocking, actually. So
Yeah, honestly, I
kudos
can
to
relate.
you for feeling like you're doing okay.
Like, doing okay, I, like, found, like, friends in my classes that, like, I can rely on for, like, help if they're like, I need any, and, like, we help each other and, like, study groups and all that, but, like, there is some advantage to people that went to, like, UCLA prior than, like, the transfer students, so it's like, yeah.
Do you feel like so I was going to transition into like the most important thing to talk about, which is our social life. Like, do you feel like you're uh I don't know what the right term is, but do you feel like you're connecting more with former community college students, or are you connecting with just basically everybody on campus?
On campus, like, already walking in, people have, not that it's clicky, but people have had their friends since dorming in, like, like their first year. And I've noticed a lot of people, like their friend groups, they've known each other since the first year that they were here. And obviously, I don't have like that same like advantage. But so far, I'm mostly talking to and like mostly connecting with like transfer students. A lot of transfer students are in my classes, because many of us aren't technically declared in our majors yet, so we're pre like our major, and like we just have to take these classes that like people that went to UCLA already like knew. So I'm mostly talking to them, but I also do think during next quarter, like the spring quarter, there's going to be a lot more happening and like a lot more like social events where you could meet people. So yeah.
Yeah, I felt like, man, your experience sounds very similar to mine, but I feel like I gravitated towards a lot of the former community college students. And for me, I think it was because I think I was 28 when I transferred to Cal. And so I quickly identified with a couple of other guys that were my age. But as I kind of went through my junior year, you're right. It was my second semester where I started meeting more of the traditional 4-year students and became very close with students that went through the dorms and had like an existing friend group that they established their freshman year. And I never really felt like I was part of that group with them, but I definitely did establish some really great lifelong relationships with people that went through, the traditional path of, freshman year
Yeah.
dorms and so forth. So it's a good mix, and I'm glad to hear that things are going well socially. Like, is there? What do you think you worried about the most before you transferred, and what was the most like, man, I can't believe I worried about that. That was so lame. Like, was there something that you worried about that like once you're in the environment, it's like, yeah, it's really actually no big deal.
Like, from what I've heard, it's like, oh, transfers are they kind of get left out in the dust, and like, yeah, this is not only like UCLA thing. Like, I think it's very common for like a lot of like big schools that like, oh, like some people see this. Like, my friends were telling me that, oh, you're gonna get like, people are not gonna let you in because you're a transfer student, but that's like not true. Like, honestly, like nobody knows you're a transfer student unless you go out shout that you are. We're all students. Like, at the end of the day, and like we all are here to learn. So, and if you tell somebody you're a transfer, they're not going to be like, oh, like, just because you're a transfer, I'm not going to talk to you. Personally, that's weird. But other than that, like, I was nervous about like the social aspect. I was nervous about like my roommates and everything. But mostly, like, I'm not sure. Like, I was scared about how like people would perceive me, I guess. But that doesn't like really matter, because if you like me, you do, and if you don't, you don't. Like, that's not up for me to decide. But mostly, like, honestly, very trivial things like my missing my family and all that. Just honestly changing dynamics and everything, because it's like I get used to my life like back at home. My parents like take care of me. My little puppy is there, and then all of a sudden I'm moving over to like 7 hours away from them, and I have to fend for myself and like just really take care of myself. And I managed to do it. So yeah.
It's hard for me to imagine nobody like really loving who you are. Like, it seems like you're like the most likable person I think I've met at CSM. So it's hard to picture you worrying about people liking you at UCLA. But I totally agree. That's not something that in general any of us should be worried about. But
Yeah.
it takes for me, that took a long time to learn. Like, I certainly didn't learn it before I was 30. It took me a much longer. So kudos to you for getting through that big life epiphany. Okay, so you're on campus, you're taking classes, you're sort of settling into, the routine and the grind and the new environment. And I'm curious to know, like, when did it register with you that you had to, or you should start looking for summer internships? Was it something that you sort of knew going in, or did you feel pressured in some way? Like, can you just walk me through like when you first realized that looking for a summer internship was important?
I always had like the notion that, oh, I need to find an internship. Like, I have to find one. Like, if I get one, that would look good on my resume. And honestly, like graduating from school, like you need an internship to do anything basically. But I got into UCLA, I walked in, and that was not on my mind. I was like, oh, I can just push this off for later. I'm going to go find an internship like in the spring quarter, like, which is cutting it close. But then my roommate is over here, and she's stressing me out. She's like, we need to find a like internship now. Like, people are registering now. You know, apply by the winter to get an internship in the summer. And I was like, whoa, like that's a big timeline. Like, I'm applying for an internship that I might or might not get 6 months away. So I'm like, it like hit me like, oh, I need to start looking more and more. I need to work on like my resume and like make it better. And I have. applied to some internships. I've applied to 15, but clearly not enough because I've yet to hear back from them. But um honestly, it's a very difficult out here. So it's difficult to find an internship, especially when like a lot of um the people that are also applying for these internships might have more experience than me. So
Yeah. Man, you said so much. There's so much to unpack. Um, do you feel like you were at a disadvantage by being a community college student? Like, do you feel behind in any way when it comes to finding an internship compared to, your roommate or kids that went the traditional path? Like, how do you feel like you compare?
like there is a disadvantage, and people who say that there's not, like, I'm not sure if I like I if they give me their point of view, maybe I could see it. But from my point of view, like there is a disadvantage. There's a disadvantage in like internships. There's a disadvantage in like the way transfer students have to rush with their like classes they're taking in order to graduate in time, and like just knowing like the culture at school. But that's regardless. Like at internships, like a lot, because there are resources at school that can help you find an internship, but it's mostly like knowing where to seek them out, knowing who to talk to, and like when, like, because like the timing of it is also like very specific, and like you need to know all these dates and everything of when you need to apply, and like when it's time to start looking and stuff. But I feel like a lot of the people that went the traditional route, they just already know like where to look for these internships, and also might have um prior internships to it, because I didn't. Like once I get an internship this summer, which I will, then it's like I have something underneath my belt. But if they already do, it obviously gives them like a step up compared to me.
It sounded like what you were saying was that in reality, your 4 year, like the traditional 4 year counterparts, they at least know where to go for help, for resources, and added to your things of what you have to get comfortable with is where do you even go look for the internships? Which I again, I feel like that mirrors my experience where, man, I felt like I was just getting used to my classes and it was like, wait, what? I got to start looking for a fucking internship. It's the fall semester. I'm like just getting started. Like that's crazy to me. Like summer is so far off, but in reality, right, the summer for a company is like right around the corner. Like things just move at a different speed in the real world at these companies, and so they sort of need to line up the summer recruits, like for at least for some industries, in the fall semester. And I remember thinking, man, that's just so crazy. And I know for me, what really kind of helped me more than anything was joining a club. So I joined the business club, and again, like I didn't join it to be cool. I didn't join it to like find internships. It was the two guys that I felt like I related to the most were both community college students, and they were in the club, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to just join that club. And in hindsight, it was the business club on campus, and they were like tuned into all the recruiting events that were coming to campus, and what the process looked like, and how to put together a resume, and what did you have to do, how did you dress. And I felt like one of the things that really helped me was joining a club that sort of helped you assimilate to that aspect of your education. I'm curious, are you part of any clubs on campus? Like, is that something that you've started looking into?
During the I wasn't sure about this quarter, but I know during the fall quarter they have like a club fair, which like for a week there's a bunch of clubs like advertising and everything. But my mistake was I didn't realize there's two different levels. So on the bottom it's like the sports and like more of the fun clubs, and on top it's like the academic clubs. I did not realize there was a top part, so I did not check it out. But I did manage to join one club, like Women in Business, which is like like the most basic club I could join. Like, because that's but a lot of the clubs here, I noticed you do have to have like a whole ass application to like join them and everything. Yeah, that's my reaction. But so I just got into school. I have to do with a long ass application that took me to get into here. Then I have to do another application to join a club, and then it's all that. So other than like the Women in Business Club, I haven't really joined much, but during the upcoming quarter, I do want to join more clubs, like one academic and like at least one fun club where I could get to know more people that have similar interests to me. So yeah, but
Yeah, enough of the fucking headache shit. Like, let's go out and have fun, right?
yes.
Yeah. That was so the business club that I joined, like I had like it was more of a social club than anything, and like I felt so overwhelmed when I transferred. Just listening to you talk, it sounds so similar to my experience. And I remember like, man, there's so much that I'm trying to learn that's new and it's a shock. And the classes were harder for me. And so I would like over the weekends, I would be in my room. I had a studio. And so I was like doing homework Friday nights and all weekend. And it was these two guys that were in the business club. They were like, yeah, dude, you're fucking crazy. Like, we're going out. And I really, really needed that. I needed that at that point because if I didn't go out, I think I probably would have, it would have been a much worse situation for me. So, like, I needed somebody around to be like,
Mhm.
dude, come on. This isn't all like, all work. You got to have fun while you're going through
Yeah,
the process.
exactly. Work hard, or what is it? Work hard, play hard. Yeah.
Yes. So I think you definitely need to make sure you keep the social club and looking for the right social club high on the priority list, as ridiculous as that may sound to some people. So nice. Um, okay, so you get to a point where you're like, fuck, I need to look for an internship. Like this is crazy. What's the first step, or like what have you been doing to look for opportunities? You mentioned that you submitted like 15 applications. Like where are you finding your opportunities?
Basically, I'm finding, well, my first step was fixing up my resume because it still said the wrong address of where I'm staying at. And I'm primarily looking for internships in Los Angeles since I'm going to have like my apartment here over the summer. So it just makes sense. But the Bay Area is always open. So, but other than that, I'm finding mostly my internships through Handshake, which not to plug, I'm not plugging it in, but I feel like my school, like, they have their own, I don't even know, category there where they list out internships from UCLA. So mostly from there. But I've looked on other places. I've looked on Indeed to like help me, which honestly is not a very good place to look, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people don't check online things, especially on Indeed. Like, yeah. But other than that, I've had some guest speakers in some of my classes, and afterwards I go on their website and it says, "Oh, looking for blah 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 blah, want to work with us," and like I click on it and see what kind of internships they offer and everything. But for me, like I am like my major right now is business economics, which is mostly economics, and that's like it's a very analytical stuff, but I am also interested in like the more creative aspects, like marketing and like brand management and all of that. So it's like finding both of like these internships that might combine into one, or like I don't know, like I just want to have the opportunity to find an internship that I would like, because at the end of the day, you're supposed to learn like whether you want to pursue this further or like redirect you in a different path. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally, man, that's very profound, that statement right there. Right. So a lot of us think, yeah, we got to get an internship and I need to learn how to do something. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. But like what you just said, which is your internship is just an opportunity for you to check in to make sure that you're on the right path. Like and it's easier to do that like when you're in the environment, when you're in an office and you can see what it looks like day to day. It's easy, or it's not easy, but it's helpful to be like, wow, this is not what I expected. I should change direction, or it confirms what we had in mind, and it like reinforces the decisions we're making right now. So that's huge. And the whole reason that I'm echoing it is because like if you go back and look at people who found a job that they're really happy with when they graduated, most people will point to three things. It's usually a mentor in college, maybe a group project in college, but the biggest one is a summer internship, because it gives you an opportunity to really like be honest with yourself. Like, is this something I could see myself doing when I graduate? And so from the employee's perspective, it's super valuable. But from the employer's perspective, like, yeah, you're learning a lot in college, but none of it is going to help you do your day to day stuff. Like, just going to work and learning all the intricacies of being at a job are things that you can only learn at a job. And so when you have one of the reasons why it's important to have internships on your resume is because you're signaling to companies, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to be able to show up on time. I'm going to be able to, dress appropriately. I'm going to be able to, get along in groups. Like, there's all of these soft skills that you learn in an internship that you're not really learning in the classroom, which is a really good thing to signal to employers. So,
I feel like not only that, but it's just like having a preconceived notion of whether or not you're going to like something and like actually experience it and going to do it, it completely changes your mind. It's like in the classroom, you're learning a bunch of equations, which you're not even sure you're going to using them in your future. And then you get to this
yeah,
place and it's nothing like that. And it's something that you can actually enjoy and like separate from like
yeah,
your school.
yeah, totally. Like so I tell students all the time, I may have told your class that you're going to learn accounting, and like everything that we're learning in our accounting class and your entire major is good for like 5% of what you're going to do in the real world. Like the 95% of what you're going to do in the real world has nothing to do, or you're not learning it in the classroom. And so, yeah, it's super important to be able to see what a profession would look like before you actually graduate. Um, Super helpful. Okay, so how about like maybe going backwards a little bit while you were going to community college? Were you working like any type of job? Do you have any work experience that you're highlighting in search of your new internship?
Like, I did have a job when I went to community college, but I will say, I don't know if the skills can be applicable or like transferable to other places, but at the same time, it's more about how you can always make something transferable to another job. So that's also that. But I worked as an invoice clerk at the same company that my mom worked. And I worked there for 3 years. So from senior year in high school until graduating, basically from CC. And then it's just like, I feel like I could have had maybe gone more experience if I worked somewhere different. And it might have, because I'm looking for a job and an internship, which is a double whammy. And like with my current job, like job experience, not a lot of places are hiring specifically in like the places that I want to work, and let alone like internships. Like I have these skills, like, oh, like I don't even know like what an invoice clerk does, like basically all that, and it's like transferring there, but it's mostly like using like the computer and like using like a certain software, and like that's basically what I can highlight from that job, as well as like customer service and all of that. So I feel like it's good that I did work during community college, because um also helped with my like spending then, and like I saved money for now. But it's also like it's honestly is a little bit important about where you work before transferring because jobs do look at where you worked before, and if you can't really make your case as to why you would be a good addition to their team from your previous experiences, then it's kind of like, yeah.
Do you, I mean, it sounded like you might have done something different. Do you think you would have done something different while you were at CSM?
I honestly, when I was at San Mateo, I was looking for an internship even there. I wanted to work at specifically like the Levi's headquarters there, and like, like yeah, I feel like everybody always talks about that, but it's I don't know. I like the jeans, so it would have been nice, but I did miss the deadline for that. But other than honestly, maybe getting like an internship there because such close proximity to a lot of big companies and like a lot of headquarters would have been nice.
Yeah.
But also
Yeah.
maybe switching my job earlier into something else that would have been honestly beneficial to me now. Because it's just, I had an
Yeah.
office job and it's just like, what leads to that? Like another office job, kind of. So.
Is that not what you're looking for now?
I mean, okay, yes, it is. It is what I'm looking for. But I guess I'm looking for something like, yes, it's going to be an office job, but also something where I can still talk to people because I do like talking to people. And I feel like if I don't, I'm going to be not so happy in that job. So it's also like meeting like a good group of people that you would work well with, but as well as
Yeah.
having the ability to show my creative side too, because that is something that I enjoy.
Got it. Yeah, it's going to be, that's a hard or a tall order, right? Like to be able to string together a series of experiences outside of school that will be consistent with what you want to do when you graduate. That's like man, I don't know a lot of people that have been able to do something like
Mhm.
that. I think most of us, our experience are really similar to what you're articulating, which is like, yeah, I had this job when I was going to CSM, which is totally fucking different than the job that I'm looking for now, which
Yeah.
will, my summer internship might be totally different than what I end up doing when I graduate. Like, it's hard to like put together a consistent path. And so a lot of us I think are trying to find ways to take our work experience and, I don't know, shape it in a way that makes it sound relatable to the job that we're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, from what
And
I heard,
I'm
that's
just
how you're
gonna
supposed to construct your resume. Like, you're supposed to have a
Yeah,
different resume for each place you apply to with like specific skills that would work for there and all that. But
that's fucking crazy. Like, who has the time for that?
a
I
lot
was
of
reading
work.
that somewhere. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, come on, no way. Like, so just out of curiosity, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but do you use ChatGPT to like redo your resumes?
Honestly, I use ChatGPT for a lot. I have asked ChatGPT to, like basically make my resume sound better with like the skills that can be transferable, and
Yeah,
like because
nice.
I can write it in a certain way, and it's just like might not seem like the most professional or
Yeah,
like I don't know. There's like words do mean a lot, and there's like certain phrases that are stronger than
totally.
other ones, so it helps picking the stronger words and like.
And there's key words in certain industries, right? And so like
Exactly.
I'm not saying that you would want to use Chat GPT to lie on your resume, but you should be using it to help you take what your actual experience it was and then just repackaging it in a way that makes it a little bit more relevant to what you're looking
Hmm.
for. Like the phrases and the way that you articulate your experience, along with like some of the keywords that are important in certain industries, like all that stuff is super important.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work.
it is
Sounds exhausting.
so much work. It's so much work.
Um, okay, so how about like you said, listening to your experience, something that's jumping out to me is the difference between looking for a job just by going on to Handshake as opposed to going to like an in-person networking event, like
Honestly,
going to see
yeah.
like an in-person presentation and then following up. Like, are you finding the in-person experience to be better than the just simply finding opportunities online, or is it
I
easy to tell?
um it's hard to tell, honestly. I've only been to maybe one networking thing, which is my bad. But from what I've seen, the people that walk in are walking in with full on suits, like everything. They're very dressed professionally, which I could do. I can handle that part. But then I even heard that you don't even bring your resume at like these networking things. Because at least for here, it's a bunch of stands where there's different companies standing there and talking about like their work. And I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you don't even give them your resume. You just follow them on LinkedIn and then follow up on there, which is
yeah,
also like I would say networking is in person ideally is better because you can actually see people and like kind of get a gist of like what their company could be like and like the atmosphere there.
yeah,
But then it
yeah,
turns into you apply online, you submit your resume online and all that. And it's also like, yes, I have my like my skills on this paper, but my skills are more like who I am as a person too. And it's just like my skills may not be the strongest in this area, but I don't know, maybe my personality will hit the home run. So yeah.
yeah. No, I don't think you're. I mean, I'm laughing just because it's kind of cool. But I would think that we all have like a portfolio of skills, and some skill, like there's just some things that we're better at than others. And I sort of fall into the same category that you fall into, which is like, I feel like I can have a conversation with people, and that's like one of my strengths that I can bring to the table. And it's like, it's fucking hard for me to show that off when I'm applying on Handshake. I've never used Handshake, but on Indeed,
Mhm.
right? It's like, how are they going to know how awesome I am when I don't get a chance to say
Exactly.
hi?
They're just basing
And
you off
so
a piece of paper.
yeah, so I always felt like, man, you know what? I'm going to bring my fucking resume because like I remember when I was looking for recruits. So when I was working at some of the consulting firms during my career, I would always take somebody's resume if I thought they were really strong. And it's not because I wanted to read their resume, it was because I wanted to remember who that person was.
Mhm.
And so I would take their resume and then I would write a star on the back of it. And then I would take it back to the office and give it to a recruiting manager and say, okay, look, I met Sasha at this recruiting event. She's a star. She seems great. Here's her resume. We should really try to bring her in for like a official interview. So like I would always have something to hand out, even if they tell you that they're not accepting resumes. Sometimes like you could show off your greatest skill, which is like your ability to be personable, and they might want to just like remember that.
Mhm.
So that's definitely a thing. And so when I was at Cal, we used to make business cards. Like, so I remember again being a junior and like showing up to the first recruiting event I went to. Like the company tried kicking me out because they didn't think I was even a fucking college student. I was dressed so poorly. Um, but like I remember people going to those events in suits, and I was like, man, I just feel so behind. But then they would even have business cards. And so, it's pretty easy to make business cards these days. So that might be something you want to like throw in your portfolio of things to remember. It's like, hey, here's my card. And it's just like I have my own cards for my book, which are really awesome. And it's so you can make really awesome cards too that sort of show off your personality as a way to like make a good first impression
Mhm.
when you're at things. But I also liked what you said about following up on LinkedIn and connecting with people on LinkedIn. Have you had any success or anything to highlight from that activity?
Um, honestly, I'm not no, honestly, not too much success over there. Like,
Got it.
When I using like LinkedIn, like I try to add people obviously like I know in my own network, and then sometimes there's like I don't know, like people that we have like a distant connection, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just like I'm not really. I feel like a lot of people add like friends or follow people on LinkedIn that they don't even know and would never. They don't even communicate with each other, and it's just what's the point? Like I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people try to build LinkedIn. Is like you get 500 connections plus, and at that point it's like, oh, like they're a LinkedIn superstar, they're so cool. But it's just like you don't even know half of these people, and like you're not communicating with anything, so it's not like you can get any opportunities from that.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
yes, it's important to like connect with other people, but it's also important who you connect with, and like because if LinkedIn is like built on connecting like people with like jobs and like internships and like their careers and all of that, like
Yeah.
it is does have some importance of who you're connecting with.
Frankly, I think it's all bullshit. Well, I've got thousands of people that I've connected with on LinkedIn. I'll connect with anybody. I have a friend who's like, "Oh no, I don't connect with my students because like I don't really know them, and it would be weird if they asked me to introduce." I'm like, nobody fucking. I have like thousands of connections, and not one of my connections has ever asked me to introduce me to another one of my
Yeah.
connections. And I'm like, and if they did, I would just say no because I don't know them. And so, like, I'm a big fan of cold calling on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
and I've found that people are pretty receptive to, like, hey, especially recruiters. Hey, I'm really interested in your company. I just wanted to introduce myself. I was at a recruiting event or heard some good things about you. That should always be something that's like really resonates with a recruiter. But my daughter's currently looking for a full-time position, and I'm constantly telling her, just go look for somebody who works at that company in the office of the city that you want to work for, who also maybe went to the same school, and then just like reach out to them and connect with them and just ping them with questions. And she's like, "Well, what would I even say?" And I'm like, I would just be totally fucking honest and be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm looking for a job and I'm trying to get my resume on the desk of like the right person, and can you help me with identifying who that is and who I really should be talking to?" Like, it's such a powerful place to do that, and I would definitely encourage you to use it and to cold call. It's not about connections at all. Peter.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you on that. How about, so do you, when you, the few times that you've done something in person, like, do you have, well, let me back up. I don't know if you know Anna Floyd. So she's probably was at CSAM right around the same time you were, maybe a year before you.
Uh-huh.
Um, but anyway, she was on Money Misfits, and she talked about having a pitch that she has already prepared that she sort of gives to
Mhm.
recruiters at the working events. Do you have anything similar? Like, do you know what you say? Like, do you have a scripted thing you say, or like, do you have an idea of what you
Honestly,
say? You go introduce yourself to people.
well, once again, like I don't. I relate to your daughter, I guess, in this sense. Like I'm not wouldn't really be sure what to say because, well, they're like yes, it's having an elevator pitch is good because it's like a basis of what you can go off on. But I feel like
Yeah,
for me, like I also go off of based on like the vibes basically like of like the company and
yeah,
like because I mean you can tell a lot about a person the way they act, their body language, like the way they dress, so it's just like yeah. But I guess having an elevator pitch and like having at least something you can say and like things that you can give like to the job like is important.
yeah.
Basically, not selling yourself, but advertising yourself as like, I'd be a good worker. It's like that is something I need to add on to my ongoing list of things I need to do. And like honestly, carrying
Everybody
around
thinks they're gonna get
resumes.
it.
Like I need to
Yeah.
start carrying around resumes or business cards.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to bring them to class, but going to those events, you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not so much that you want to like walk through a list of skill sets with somebody. It's that you want to leave them with, it's just like I can't remember any of my students' names, right? And I'm with you guys for fucking 4 months a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's like if you met me at a recruiting event, I would forget your name, who you were. And so to just have something that I could, like with your name, that I could write a star on the back of to remember to reach out to you. And it's like, I might not even remember who you are. It's like Sasha Gret, like, who the fuck? I don't remember this fucking kid,
Mm-hmm.
but all I remember is I wrote a star, so she's a star. So we got to reach out to her, right? So that's the only reason I would bring something with
Mm-hmm.
you. And if, if you were, obviously you probably are fine to not have a pitch, but there are some kids who are probably listening to this that aren't quite as comfortable as you are, walking up to a stranger and introducing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's just easier to have the first 2 or 3 sentences, planned out, and then you can sort of go with the flow or let the other person react and take the conversation where they think they want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was just curious to see if you had one, but it makes sense that you don't.
I mean,
It
no, it
seems,
would be beneficial if I did, because honestly, like, it is scary talking to somebody new that you don't know, and basically, if you are pitching yourself to them, the power is all in their hands at that point. But
yeah,
also, like, realize that, oh, like, we're all like, no one's above each other, so it's just like you're just talking to another like person or a human being.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And the advice that I continue to give to my daughter is the same advice I give to you and anybody else, which is like, man, the questions you should be asking should just be like the real questions that you have,
mm-hmm,
right? So, I usually tell students that if you can't picture what the first month would be like at that particular company, like that should be your list of questions you ask. You go introduce yourself and just say like, what's it like showing up to work? Like, what would I be doing? Who would I be working with?
mm-hmm,
Would I work in a cubicle or an office? Like just basic questions. Or like, if I wanted, how would I know I'm doing a really good job? Like, how does that look? The more authentic you are, I think the easier it is to have a conversation. And again, these recruiters, they sort of dread these events just as much as we do. And so like the more refreshing a conversation can
mm-hmm.
be, the more they're going to get out of it as well.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
So anyway, and again, like you being you, that's your superpower. So, okay. So how about, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but like, I would be interested to know just in terms of like how you spend your money. And we don't have to get personal, but like, has that been something that's been difficult to adjust to? Right.
Um.
So you're on your own. Like, how are you paying for your meals? Like, are
Mhm.
you on an unlimited budget and you can do whatever you want? Or how's that going? How does that look?
Basically, like, I am very blessed, and my parents do pay for my apartment, and they give me like spending money because I don't have a job. My goal is to find a job so they don't have to like send me as much money because it's like spend it on yourself too. But
Yeah.
honestly, most of the things that I have spent the money I receive is on food. I spend a lot of money just like on groceries, not so much going out, but like groceries. And like it does add up, especially like it depends what you're eating. But like I like to cook, so I like to get ingredients to like cook and everything, and that does add up. And like getting all the spices in the beginning, and then like all that, blah blah blah. But other than that, like I'm also in Los Angeles, and I do want to go out and like experience and like see the things around here because it is a major city with so much history around it. But
Yeah.
like I have a car down here too, which was brought down here when my sister went to like San Diego State, so it's like mine now. But the gas here is also expensive, so that's another expense. And like that, like traveling and food and just sometimes wanting a good like experience or like going out somewhere. Like that's
Yeah.
primarily what I spend it on. But I do try to limit myself. Honestly, like budgeting is important, and that's something I do want to get into, especially when I get a job, which is going to be soon. But
Yeah.
like once I get a job, like it'll be easier to budget because then it's like it's bad to say this, but it's like it's my own money. So like there is like something like like
Yeah. Fuck you kids, man. That's it.
like obviously I do feel like honestly I would say I do feel guilt using my parents' money because I would have rather them spend it on like themselves, but at the same time it's just like I have no funds, so it's just like I
Yeah.
would be basically not
Yeah,
like
no, I totally get it. It's like, fuck it ain't my money. I'm gonna spend it all. When it's my money, I ain't paying for that. Are you crazy?
well, even
Yeah,
then
no,
I have to be smart
I'll
with
give you
what
a
I
hard
decide to
time.
spend my money on. Like there's definitely some experiences that I can't like go to because it's out of the budget or like anything like that. But
Your parents would be like, "You're fucking what? You're spending my money on what?"
like I honestly like I can't put that. I need to get a job just for like that sole reason. But my idea is like yes, I'm spending their money now, but in the future I'm gonna get a job and then they're gonna be spending my money then. So
Yeah, and then you're gonna be taking care of them when they're like in a retirement home. So like,
exactly.
it
So
all works out. It all works.
it's a loop. It's a cycle.
It's totally a cycle. Just remind them of that the next time they freak out when they look at your credit card bill.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad. It's a cycle, baby. It's all right. I'm kidding. Okay, so on a serious note, but I'm thinking we should end this with advice to where you were last year. So you're just applied to, actually maybe even before you just applied.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to somebody at CSM right now who is, going through the process, taking the classes, trying to transfer out of here? What can they be doing here at CSM that will put them in a better position at their 4-year university?
Um, like the basics, obviously, join clubs, like that goes along, like especially in a CC where you can't go out and like have like a lot of experiences, like joining clubs, you get a lot of like good skills from it. You get to know people and like it's also like something to do. Plus, sometimes you have to like give back to the community, which is always like a good thing. And then also just use the resources you have at community college because once you transfer to a 4-year, it's very difficult to get help with like finding what classes you need to take. Like, oh, am I on the right track? Like getting help with your classes. So honestly, I think it's important to build a strong foundation also in the classes you have right now. Like don't use chat, like it's very easy to use ChatGPT for your classes, but like those classes you're taking right now, the base classes, like they're gonna build when you're in like like in the 4-year, and it's way more rigorous once you're at a 4-year. So you just have to build like good tendencies in community college before you get over here. And just honestly, if you're in community college right now, just remember also to have fun because once you get here, it's a very different. It is very different, and while you're in a great like area, the Bay Area, and like surrounded by like hopefully friends and family, like make sure to spend a lot of time with them because once you do transition into like a 4-year university, that's like the signal that like, oh, things are changing and they're most likely not going to go back to the way they were, but you shouldn't be scared of that uncertainty. You should embrace it and like realize that like, oh, I'm just beginning to find out the person that I am. So, and yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I like that. I like that. Develop the habit, I preach that in my classes all the time. And I feel like most of my students just tune me out on it. They're like, yeah, whatever. So it's
Some of them
nice
are
to
listening.
hear. It's nice to hear you come back and be like, yeah, you're going to have to fucking learn how to swim on your own when you get to the 4 years. So you got to learn how to swim at CSM. Like,
Yep.
I like that advice. It's really good advice. And I like that you said that. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but I sort of feel like it's okay to use ChatGPT, but like use it the right way.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know, my son uses ChatGPT, and I was like getting all fucking bent out of shape about it. But then when we
No.
talked about how he was using it, man, the fucking kid's using it to create practice exams for him. It's like, how fucking awesome is that, right? So yeah, it's a tool that you really should learn, but you can't forget that you've got to develop the skills while you're at CSM.
I mean,
that
there's
when it
smart
gets more,
ways to use ChatGPT, and then there's
yeah,
also like just the easy shortcut, which is like give me all the answers, like show me the work, but like you just skim through it. But like you said, like building practice tests and everything, and like asking like, oh, does this happen because of blank blank blank, and then like they answer and like go further in depth into it. It's just like, it can give you supplemental information, but you should be using that supplemental information to actually build like the skills and like knowledge you need from that.
Totally. Awesome. I feel like that's the right place to end this.
Okay.
Unless, is there anything that I didn't ask that you think I should have asked?
I mean, I think you got into most of what needed to be said. I would just say that it is like important to know what classes you're taking in community college, and like make sure you're taking the correct ones, because they can really honestly, they can really fuck you up in the future. My roommate over here, she is taking like 5 GEs, like on like lower division, and like, yes, because like her community college like basically fucked up like her class, and like finding a good counselor is important too. Like, I can't stress that enough. But
nice. Yeah. And can you not, like, can't you use ChatGPT for that shit too now?
Yes, you can. I asked ChatGPT to help me with like for my schedule like a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. But like, because all that information is available in the web, so like if you can honestly ask them. It's also, but like you said, it's difficult to formulate, like even like when you're talking to a person, it's difficult to formulate what you want to say and what you want to ask. And it's like kind of the same thing with like ChatGPT, but maybe not in the same sense, because you're just talking to AI. So it's like not really as much pressure.